Hey, how you doing today? This is OXDF, and today we're going to be looking at mbcoin. This is a challenge from the Hack the Box Business CTF 2022 that ran over the summer, and it's up on Hack the Box right now. You can play it for free. So this is a forensic challenge that I was the author of, and I think it's a lot of fun. We're going to find a Word doc. We're going to look at the macros and see where it pulls some VBA code out of some alt text on an image, actually a couple images. It's going to write that to disk. It's going to run that VB code. The VB code uses some PowerShell, downloads a bunch of objects from web servers, and then we get a PCAP where we can actually see those objects downloaded. And then we have to go back to the VB script after we carve them out and use the VB script to figure out how to decode them into DLLs, and one of those DLLs will give us the flag. So hopefully it's a fun forensics challenge, and with that, yeah, let's go ahead and dive in. All right, so let's get started by reading the prompt for this challenge. We've been actively monitoring the most extensive spear phishing campaign in recent history for the last 2 months. This campaign abuses the current crypto market crash to target disappointed crypto owners. A company's SOC team detected and provided us with a malicious email and some network traffic to be assessed to be associated with the user who opened the document, analyze the supplied files, and figure out what happened. So we'll look at what we got here, and that we are given a zip file. I always like to just start with a -L to take a look at what's there. Nothing surprising. We've got a doc and a PCAP, so we'll go ahead and unzip it. We need the password hack the box, and there we go. It's kind of it'd be totally reasonable to start with either the PCAP or the doc. In this case, we're going to start with the doc because I know that's where we need to start. But there's no reason you couldn't start with the PCAP and sort of figure out that you need the doc. I guess it's reasonable to think that the spear phishing email comes in, they open the attachment does something that generates network traffic, so we're going to want to potentially see what that is. You could skip straight to the PCAP, but then like why would the challenge author give you the doc anyway? So with that, the first thing I always want to check especially when I see .doc instead of .docx is are there macros here? And so we use VBA OLE, which is the best tool in my opinion for just pulling out macros. We'll put mbcoin.doc and we'll run that. And it would help if it's OLE VBA. Talking and typing at the same time is too hard. And so, like many of these challenges that you'll see when in the forensics category where you get a doc, there are macros here. Unlike challenges I've made in the past, there's not a ton of obfuscation here. We've got an auto open function, so that's going to run when the document is opened. So we've got these two QQ objects, 1 and 2, and they are each getting a hold of the active documents.shapes. So there's two different shapes in the documents. Those are probably images of some kind. And then, there's some really light obfuscation here it's using a lot of string reverse. And this is a common technique if you're trying to bypass computer filters, right? So it's certainly reasonable that a computer might not be looking for, /ATAD, blah, blah, like this. Where it might be looking for other indicators. And so this is just real cheap. It's not going to fool any humans. We can all look at this right now and say, oh, this is C program data. This is pin.vbs. This is something, But even down here, we can look at this command. So let's look through what we're doing here. It's taking the two shapes and it's getting the alternative text for each of them, and it's appending them together with the plus and saving that as WW. It's then opening up a file here as my file, and it is writing that file. So it's ROI right here. So this is the program data and pin.vbs. It's writing that for output as my file. It writes the dub variable out to it and it closes it. And then we have the shell call, and shell takes the string we want to run. So in this case, cmd/k. So run the command. cscript.exe. So that's Windows script parser for VB type scripts. And then we have C, program data, and pin.vbs. So we're going to download, we're going to write this file, and we're going to run it. This char48, the second argument to the shell command is how do you want the window to open? And so 0, char48, 48 is 30 in hex, 30 in hex is the 0 character in ASCII, and that means window hidden, don't show it. Okay, so after we run this newly downloaded thing, we're going to get a time that's 5 seconds from now. We're going to basically just do a while now is less than that. So we're just going to loop for 5 seconds, and then we're going to print, sorry, you're not eligible for free coin. Too bad. I really thought I was going to get some this time. And that is the end. There's nothing else. That's it. That's all the macros. So all the VBA macros in here are just downloading a VBS script and running it. So we're going to jump over to Windows in just a second and take a look at it. But even then, we can still take a look at this if we wanted to do it just on Linux here. Strings, and I like to do like N12, maybe 10, something. Just get rid of all those like 3 and 4 character strings that we don't really care about. We'll do mbcoin.doc. We'll pipe that in LLS just so we can read it. And so we can get some of the text here, the flavor from the Lure. We're going to look at it in Windows, what it'll look prettier. So we don't need to spend a lot of time on that. Here's some of the VBA strings coming through here. And not much else. We're at the end here, and that's it. And that's because Windows likes to store a lot of strings in 16-bit format instead of in 8-bit standard ASCII. And so if we add the -el to strings, we're going to get a whole different set of strings, and these are all the different little endian 16-bit strings. And so this right here, we've got a bunch of VBA code or VBS code right here, VB code. Now, again, I can pull this out. I'm actually going to pull this together in a different way in the Windows VM, but there's nothing to stop us from pulling this out here. In fact, it kind of looks like it's in the right order already, although I might have to look for the point. I was pulling the alt text out of 2 different images, and it's possible they need to be swapped somewhere here in the middle to get the order right. But we certainly could pull this out of here and get what we needed to get out of this. But because it's interesting to look at as well, we'll come over here, and this is actually the same folder just mapped into this other VM, and we will open up this doc here and take a look. And so let's see if we can zoom in here. Yeah, so you got these cool monkey coin things here. Spent probably as much time making these images as I did the rest of this challenge. Hey, are you wondering about how you can make more money through a smarter investment? Hey, if you've looked at profits available to cryptocurrency and thought it was too late, now's your chance. Get on the ground floor. You may be eligible for free coin. Make sure you click enable content right here. And this document will calculate how much you've won. Happy investing to the moon. Monkey business investing. Before we run this, I'm going to go ahead and hit Alt F11 to open up the macro editor. I wonder if I can zoom in here. You all might be stuck with this size. I don't know how to make this any bigger. Okay. Well, we've seen all this before. It looks just like we had before. This line right here is the line where we are going to actually run the downloaded file. I'm going to go ahead and comment that out in VB. That's a single quote mark. I'll close this. I will close this and save it. Possible you can save it and then run it, but I've had bad luck with that. So I always like to make my changes, close it, and come back in. And now when I open it up and hit enable content, we're going to run, but we're not actually going to execute the script. We're just going to download, or we're going to decode the script. We're going to put it into program files. We're going to wait 5 seconds and tell me I'm not eligible for coin. And then we're going to quit. We could also, let's not make that a trusted document. We could also look here. I can guess pretty quickly. I see these 2 images up here. Let's see. How do I get to, I thought I was going to do this pretty easily. Let's see. Format, auto shaper picture. Here we go, alt text. And so here we can see, we could also just come in here and grab the alt text right here and put it together. That's certainly another way we could do it. Or we can come here and go to File Explorer, do C, program data, and now we've got pin.vbs written to us right here for us. So we'll just open that up, and we've got the VBS script. So let's start working through this. At the top here, it's doing a wait please date add char 115 to now. I don't exactly, we could figure out exactly what this is doing, but it's then feeding that into a loop until now is greater than it. So we basically can say this is some sort of stall before it runs. Wait a minute. We've got these 5 LL strings. We'll come back to those. I'm sure we're going to need to deobfuscate them a little bit more, but let's figure out what they do first. We've got HH down here, and 9 through 6 are added together. So this basically says PowerShell and then a space. And then we're going to create a WScript shell, and we're going to run 5 different things. Each of them is going to be PowerShell space, followed by one of these LL things. And then here's our char 48 again. We got another hidden window. So we're going to run each of these 5 things. We'll come back to those. We're going to sleep 5 seconds. Then we've got these 5 MM commands. And this time we're going to do basically the same thing. We're still using the HH0, so that's our PowerShell. We're still using hidden windows. And we're going to run each of those, sleeping half a second between them. Then we're going to sleep for 1.5 seconds, or 15 seconds. 15 seconds. And let's see, then we're going to run DLL32, www.dll with the loader. So when you have a DLL, so if you have an EXE, right, you double click on it, you run it, and the main, wherever the entry point is, it runs. When you have a DLL, DLLs export functions and make them available to users. They're libraries, right, that other executables can load up and look at. So when we use run DLL32, we specify a DLL and we also specify an entry point. You can do this with a number, so it's called by ordinal, and that's where you specify the number of, you can have an assigned number to each function that's being exported by the DLL, or you can do it by name. So in this case, the name of the function being called here is LDR. If we're going to run the LDR function, and then we're going to delete www star, and we're going to delete the VBS script PIN. And so we actually have, I guess these are all just strings generating those commands, but then we're going to run each of these. So, okay, one, we're going to sleep for a second, then we're going to do the cleanup scripts. So, okay, I think we know what's going on. We just have to now figure out what's going on with each of these. So these all look very similar. So we'll start with this one. We've got this nano equals jox replace joo with I. So that becomes IEX. And then next, now we come into this sal. And, what is sal? Actually, no, I do know this off the top of my head, but if we don't, we can type sal. And, the commandlet set alias pipe is looking for us to supply values. So it's setting an alias. So we're basically going to say OY is equal to IEX. Okay. Now, and we'll actually see this at the very end here. When we're double clicked on OY, at the end, we're going to OY foox and pipe it into OY again. So we're going to really IEX this thing. So we're building a string that's going to get executed. And we can, this one we can kind of just do with almost by eye, right? We have AA here, which is new ob with the parentheses. Then we have eject new net web client download file privacy career blah blah blah, some stuff, this URL, and we're going to save it as www1.dll, and basically foox is then joining together all those strings and executing it. And we can see we do the same thing, just with, it looks basically exactly the same, except for we're changing the URL. So each of these things is going to try to download, and we're changing the location. So we're going to try to download www1 through www5 DLLs. And so those will all be downloaded into program data. Coming down here, now we've done all that. We got potentially up to 5 DLLs sitting in program data. We get system.io.file read all bytes on this thing. And it's kind of hard to tell exactly what's going on here, but we grab here through, let's grab through that. Let's see, are we even there? Yeah, I think we are. Now let's go over to here to PowerShell again, and we'll paste that in. See what we got. And so we grab this string, basically making sure we had our parentheses lined up right, and we can see that this is program data www1.dll. Perfect. So we're going to get that. We're going to read all the bytes. We're going to read it as a bunch of bytes into B. Now we have this K string going through here, and this is literally just a long string of characters. So, okay, we got a bunch of characters. R is now a new object, an array of bytes that is b.length long. So we're now creating an empty array of bytes that's the same length as the bytes we just read in off of www1.dll. Now we're going to loop for I in I less than b.length. Each time we're going to say R, so that's our new empty array sub I, is equal to b sub I binary XORed with k sub I mod k sub length. So we're going to basically this is an XOR key. Now, if our resulting R is greater than 0 length, so if we actually get something, we're going to write all the bytes to, and let's go ahead and do the same thing here, although I can kind of already figure out what it looks like, but we'll just do that for now. Do we line up nicely there? Not quite, we need one more. Yeah, that's right. Let's try it here. PowerShell will certainly tell us if we're off. Oops. Let's try that. Copying and pasting into PowerShell can be a real pain. So we're going to copy, right click to paste, and we're off here. Let's try putting that in the front. So we're going to PowerShell program data www.dll. So this block right here is going to read all of the things from www1. It's going to XOR them with this key, and then it's going to try to write it to www.dll. We can look at the next one and see it's actually very similar. The only real difference here is you can see right here it's getting www2, so it's getting a different DLL. And the key is slightly different. 6i, right? So like this had PC, this had GL, this is O. These are the same, these are the same, these are the same, but here's another one. Here's AU and here's KO. So we do need to make sure we're using the right key when we go to decode these DLLs, which I'm assuming we're going to do at some point. And the other thing to take note of is these are running in order from M1 to M5. So, and each of them is outputting over www.dll. So whichever one, presumably MM5 is the one that we're going to need to get, but we're going to need to look at the PCAP to figure out exactly what's going on there, because some of these could fail and not download, in which case, whichever one is the highest numbers that actually succeeds is the one that's going to be run on the box. So it might be worth taking a second to just take some notes here, and maybe we can open up here in a new one, and just go ahead and see if we can grab these different, so we'll grab this one, and we'll call that that. We'll grab, and I may speed through this in editing here because this is not the most exciting. We can do this for these, for all 5. So we make sure, because when we open up the PCAP, we're going to want to know what's going on. 3.dll, almost done. Let's grab this one. And one more. Now these are not real domains, so we don't have to worry about, if we try to resolve any of these, they won't resolve. So we got this. Okay, perfect. Now it seems like it's finally time to open up the PCAP. Let's take a look in here. We will do this later. And we have, let's see, can I make this? How to make this bigger? Zoom. Just plus. Okay, so let's start working through here. The first thing we see is Nexus rules. That looks probably like a real thing. That looks like a real thing. That looks like a real thing. Now I say a real thing. These are probably officeapps.live.com. Those are Microsoft URLs, so those are probably still being generated by the document itself, but it's not one of these VBA scripts that's running. So we first get down to what I thought I saw just a second ago. Where's cabling point.hackthebox right here, which actually is, interestingly enough, is number 4. And we can see it actually, we get back a 192.0.2.111. That's a public IP. I know we're all used to seeing 192.168 and thinking private IP, but this is public. And then we also get business Z, that's number 3, and that also gets back a legit IP here, a nice public one. So let's see, what do we have here? We're going to go ahead, now after those two, we get a series of TCP packets here. Let's see what we got. This one's very small and hard to read. Let's see. Okay, so here's cabling point, and that we get just this binary blob, so that's fine. That's about what we're expecting, right? Because this is basically a DLL, but it's going to have to be XORed, so that's fine. We got that. That looks fine. So let's come over here and put some notes in here. Binary blob. Make sure we note that. Okay. Let's step up to the next one. So here's our business Z one, and we get a 404 file not found. So this one's not going to, 404 not found. Why I get a double T there. Okay. Let's go back in here to Wireshark, and so clear that. And so here's another one. As that's going on, we have another request come in here. This is another DNS request for bonus.corporate. So this is the fifth one here. And that one, bonus.corporate, gets no such name. So the DNS failure. DNS fails to resolve. DNS failure. Okay, keep going. Perfect demos that have HTTP and privacy careers. Perfect demos fails to resolve as well. So we'll come up here and DNS failure, which is good because this one actually was over HTTPS, so we'd have a hard time seeing it. Same, both of these HTTPS ones failed. That's convenient for us. And let's see, let's go back into, we're missing privacy careers comes in. I bet you that's going to be this one. Let's follow this stream. Make you bigger. So that's this, and there is a blob here for it. So we can put this in here too. So we have a blob, sweet. So we got some notes now about what's happening. Let's go ahead and grab, don't need you, close window. And the easiest way to export this kind of stuff is come down here to export objects, HTTP. So right here we got 3 different objects, 2 10 kilobyte objects and one that is 469 bytes. We don't need this one. If we remember business, the third one, business C, was the one that returned 404. So that's just going to be a HTTP 404 message. So we want to grab these 2. So we'll save cabling point here. Save vm.html and save pt.html. Close. And so now what we need to do is we need to start building out our way to decode these. So let's start with, well, we know the fourth one is the one that's going to have the flag. So let's look at that one. And we'll come down here to the fourth one here. So this is the one that's going to get dub4. Good. And let's grab this flag, this string right here. Copy this. And we will come into this folder just so we can have it and say new text document 4.key. It's fine, we can change it. Let's open that in Notepad++, and we'll paste that in here, save it. And now I'm gonna actually jump back over to my, I guess I have Python in the other VM, but I like working in Linux here. So let's actually run tmux here to get myself a window. We've cat 4.key into, just do that. We can actually do this in Python right here. So I'm in a nice Python 3.8 window. And at this point, what we need to do, so what our goal is we're going to do, let's see, we're going to apply this as an XOR over, I already forgot, are we in PT or VM? Go back to our notes. Notes here. VM, so vm.html is what we want. So we're going to, we'll start with, we're going to need a tool here from itertools. Tools, import cycle. And what this is going to allow us to do is just to easily loop through the key, and if the key runs out, it'll just start back at the beginning, so that'll be nice. We can define key is equal to, in fact, I can probably, if I grab that opening thing and this closing, I can do that. So now we've got key as a string. Looks good. Let's go ahead and get with open, pretty sure it was VM. Read binary as f. enc equals f.read. So now what we've just done is we've now read in the encrypted blob into a variable called enc. And so what we can do now is we're going to say, we're going to use zip on 2 things. And what zip does is it takes 2 arrays and it matches up the first elements together, the second elements together, the third elements together, etc. So we're going to do a zip on enc, our encrypted data, and key dot, we're going to need to encode this in bytes. Encode. And what would happen right now, if I just ran this, is it would just encode, in fact, we can run this, run list around it to see it. You can see it takes this 54 is the 6 right here, and the I is 123. It's, oh, sorry, not the I, the first byte of VM. And so it's going to return a bunch of pairs, but it's actually only going to return, if we look at the length of that, it's the length of, it's 75. If we do len on key, it's also 75. So it's going to get to the end of key. Zip is going to stop when it gets to the end of either. And so what we're going to do here is we're going to do zip encode this, but we're going to put cycle around key. So that way key just keeps going forever and will end when A and C ends. So now we can make this into an array. So we'll say x comma y for x comma y in. And so what this is going to do now is we're going to loop over. And if we just, this would not be very interesting if I hit enter here. It would take up, it's probably huge. We could do, maybe we could, just to show it, we could do the first, 10. Closing parentheses does not match. We're probably got an extra one in there. Okay, so we took the first 10 here. But again, this is just going to create, it's going to create a long array, and it's going to pair together each of these things. And we don't want to pair them. We want to actually XOR them. So let's do that. It'll look like that. And now what we actually want to do is take that and turn it into a byte array. I think this will work. Sweet. Yeah. And so we're getting back a series, a byte string right here. So it's a series of bytes. And it's a good sign that it starts with MZ, because that's what Windows binaries start with. So I think we're on the right track here. We'll get rid of this 10 here, and we'll call this like plain text equals. If we do len on pt, oops, we got 10k, so that's about right. So we'll do with open www.for.dll write binary as f.write pt. And if we come up here, we now have our www.for.dll, and it is a Windows 64-bit executable. So that's exactly what we wanted. So there's a couple things we could do here. We can actually just do strings on that file right there. And in fact, we know the flag format. So we'll grab that. And it didn't work. I wonder if we need big strings. I thought this would work. Yep. So we can get the string just like that. But actually, it's more fun. Let's go back over to the Windows one real quick and just show what happens when we run it. PowerShell. Let's see, z colon mbcoin. Is that right? Shoot. Oh, let's see. cd hack the, oh, we're off screen. Hack the box mbcoin. There we go. And so if we do run dll32 www.for, ldr, and we get our flag. Congratulations. What's the squirrel waffle? So that is about it. Just a different type of maldoc. I think I said in the intro, but this is based on a real phishing document that's out there in the world. So I'll make sure the links are in the video for that. Thanks for sticking around. I hope this was useful for you, and I will talk to you next time.